Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Strength in the Numbers. On this week's show, I'd like to maybe touch on something that the finance profession as a whole has grown out of. I mean, historically, we were expected to preserve business value by recording transactions and safeguarding the value of a company's assets. But nowadays, businesses are looking to us to not just preserve value. I mean, that's a given. Now we're being tasked with actually creating value just to remain relevant and keep our seat at the table. And sometimes I still hear of stories and see stories about finance professionals still in value preserving mode, particularly when we tell the business that they can't do something, or we have an internal customer who comes to us with an idea to advance a business forward, and we similarly dismiss it out of hand because it's perhaps too risky. I mean, this is potentially very damaging not only to the business being held back from creating value, but also for us to becoming irrelevant slowly and unknowingly. Now, there's an old saying, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that was by Henry Ford, the great industrialist. So given whatever we think and say to the business about can or can't, we're going to be right. And can't has been our preferred method of keeping and preserving value historically. But if you think about it, then why don't we just simply pick can more often, or even a modified can, to advance and create value for our business and its stakeholders, because we're still going to be right. And guess what? That's what they want from us at the moment. And I think they'll want that from us into the future. So I think we should probably be doing a more of a modified can approach. And what that looks like is your traditional NPV shareholder value creation formula, where it's simply about increasing the cash inflows to the investors, reducing the cash outflows of the leakage, or actually often on tapped area is actually reducing the risk associated with the discount rate of the business. So when we're responding with a modified can, now we've got some options to add some value on when we're reviewing such decisions. I mean, one practical example was a number of years ago, I was asked to approve a business case that called for an IT technologically driven solution to speed up the preparation of some sales quotes on various contracts. In effect allowing them to be sent to the customer further in advance of renewal to allow a sales negotiation to happen. Now, the solution was NPV positive, as you'd expect, but the initial cost was quite huge. The process itself, getting the solution in place, would take a lot of management attention and distraction, and it could be 9 to 12 months until the project completed, and there was no guarantee it would be right first time. So rather than dismissing it and saying an outright, no, you can't do that, I proposed a modified can, is by asking, what if the operation hired more people to do quoting as an alternative than a technology solution? Maybe they could ramp people up faster, and it might not cost as more in terms of time and money, and it might even be a bit less risk. So how did that compare to the solution they were proposing? So they went away, and it turned out that the people solution would cost 30% of the technologically driven one. It delivered the same cash inflows but 3 months earlier, and given people and processes were a bit more known, they actually felt they'd have a lower risk of failure. So the point here, though, is that whether in business or in life, if we say can't, we end up programming that as an obstacle in an attempt to preserve our current value, whereas if we were saying can instead, we open up the possibilities in our organizations and personally in our nervous system to look out for opportunities to advance or to create better value. And that's why we bring on guest mentors to the Strength in the Numbers show, to share with you how they've turned can'ts into cans, so they've become more relevant in their own organizations, not only preserving value but advancing value for their organizations, their stakeholders and their own careers, by becoming more influential and solving those meaningful problems for their organizations by leveraging existing strengths around the numbers. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, so let your colleagues and friends know about us. We're on all the major platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and connect with us on LinkedIn so you can keep up to date with when the shows are being released and all the various comments and thoughts that are being shared online about them. So until next time, take care of yourself, and let's keep on building our strength in the numbers.